he, he he's gonna get it, only because he's not on my lap. I want to get him out of here. This is Uncle Martin going live again. Just want to let everybody know it's 114 August 6th in Arizona at 5:20. Yes, it's getting warm, but I love the heat. What I want to have is, well, let's say the topic for today is another true story. As I promised you when I did the Led Zeppelin, this last live that I did, I promised you that I would talk about when I went to Uris Theater, which is now the Gershwin Theater. It's on Broadway in New York. It was 1974, the first engagement of Queen's first engagement in New York. I happened to be there. It was sold out, actually, for the whole. Okay, first of all, the Uris Theater had never had a rock band there before. And what they did was they opened it up for the very first time to Mott the Hoople, which everybody remembers. If not, just look up the All the Young Boys. And that was written by David Bowie for them. Excuse me. And it went off the charts, I guess. So 1974 was a big time for some people. And I just ran across a lady that said, "Oh, I went to that concert in '74." I said, "Really? You were?" I meant to ask her what day it was, because it was for 6 days. They were sold out. This is the first time the ticket sales had ever been sold out in this theater, and it was a big thing. And Mott the Hoople was the lead band, and nobody really ever heard of Queen before. So that's the story I'm going to tell you about. Furthering the story is a compulsive liar. Now, I believe everyone should have a compulsive liar that they're about to marry when you have less experience. Because when you get more experience and your heart gets ripped out, thrown in the mud, and jumped on, it's a little tougher to mend. It's really black and blue. It takes a while for it to mend. So that's what I'm saying. I went with the, excuse me, man, it's not that bright in here. I went with a compulsive liar, Kathy. She lived in Cherry Hill. I lived not too far away. Now, what happened was she had a boyfriend that I didn't know about the whole time she was going with me. And she lied to me on a daily basis. She said like she was going to New York. She was a model. Well, she was like 5'5", but she was endowed by nature on the upper part, and nature did a lot of work up there. Look at America, unite these back ones. Yeah, okay. Next to God, be well. When you have a compulsive liar, but you don't know she's a liar, or a guy, I guess, I believed everything she said. She was going to New York, on a weekly basis, making $800 an hour. For 2 hours, she'd make $1,600 and come back. And I said, "Oh, really? That's fantastic." Her father was a doctor. She was well off, and I don't know. I got people saying hello. Manuel Templar, hello, sir. And Ivana and Lee Harris, as always, said hi. Hey. At the end of this, I'll have question and answers. I just looked this up the other day. The last six the last 6 lives I've done, I haven't given anybody a chance to really ask any questions. Sorry about that. And I'm also sorry to hear that Hannah, your hamster died. Oh, we'll get another one. That spirit will come back to you. UK, also Scotland. Hey, Scotland, you and Curious World, Mr. Ray, also Chances of Scotland. Hey, Scotland. Scotland. If you talk like a Scot, you got to be from Scotland. Hey, how's the Highlands of Scotland? By the way, that sand that is on top of the Highlands up there, that sand got up there by a mile-high tsunami. It was thousands of miles away, and that's what the scientists have come up with now. That sand is not from down to the bottom. That'll be another story. So we have a compulsive liar that now has tickets from her boyfriend that can't go to the concert. So she says, "Would you like to go see Mata Hoople and Queen?" I said, "I don't even know who those guys are." She says, "I got free tickets." I said, "Okay." So we, oh, come on, Skippy. Skippy just jumped up all muddy on me. Aw. So we have this little stinker. So, oh man, come on, stay with the story. We have this situation where she's been going with this boyfriend of hers the same time as I have, but that'll be down the road. I just want to go back a smidge on dreams and how important they are because they come true. I was introduced at 15 years old. Yep, 15 years of experience when my mom had a dream. They were going to they were going on vacation. They weren't going to leave us alone because she had this terrible dream about my brother's arm being on fire. His arm was on fire. He's waving it around. She says it was a red dream. She couldn't go. We said, "Mom, get out of here. We'll be okay. We won't light any fires." Okay. She was absolutely correct on the situation, and we did light fires. I came home to a party that my brother had with a live band, but that'll be another story, I promise. I'm just making this quick on dreams. There was a gun in the bedroom, and I heard my brother in there where he wasn't supposed to be in the master bedroom of my parents. I opened the door, and here he has this gun. And I said, "Bro, you're not supposed to have that." Dad said, "Never touch that." And bro says, "Yeah," and then he cocks it. I said, "Oh my God, put that down." He said, "No, we're wrestling around. You never do this, by the way, but I was trying to get the gun away from my brother, and it goes off that way, and it goes through the window." And well, that's where the story comes in. Where the next morning, my parents come in. Dad says, "What is that hole doing in that window?" And Mom says, "That was the dream. That was the dream. It was bro. His arm wasn't on fire. He had a firearm. A firearm." So these are where dreams come true. That was my first one with Mom. And then in '73, when I got out to Jersey, Dad sent me a fantastic book on dreams by Edgar Cayce, The Magic Mirror. Excuse me. And I started reading them and diagnosing my dreams to where they came true within a 24-hour period. So I had, between '73 and '74, my life saved on the railroad by diagnosing these dreams. Now, this is what I'm getting to the point of Kathy. Before the concert goes, I have this dream about being in a room full of people that I never met before. Kathy was with me. She's jumping up and down, clapping. The top of her is bouncing up and down. I'm looking over at her, and the words are saying, "Liar, liar." I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, "Hey, that looks just like my girlfriend." And I wake up. Now we go to the concert. The concert is on May of 1974. It was the week that it was all sold out at the Uris Theater. Now David Bowie did write the song "Young Boys" for Mata Hoople, but they were not. They were the lead band. So Queen came out first. They had like about a dozen songs, and somewhere in there it was like song number 5 or 6. That's when the crowd was going crazy. Freddie Mercury sang the song "Liar." And here it is, he's singing "Liar." I'm looking down, and here is this Kathy jumping up and down, clapping, moving the same way in the dream, and the light goes off because now "Liar" is being sung, let alone this is the liar next to me. At the end of the concert, there was mixed reviews on on who was really better because Mata Hoople was the lead singers. And I told everybody, Queen will be remembered, Mata Hoople will be forgotten. Well, everybody said I was crazy. But if you look at the time frame of May, Mata Hoople, they broke up in November. So they were already a done deal, I guess. So I want to finish this up with the compulsive liar, Kathy. She went to, well, it was about a week later we broke up. I said, I feel you've been lying to me. And, that was the other part that I forgot to mention. Billy Richards, who she never met, went on a double date. And he happened to, his friend was Kathy's friend the same time she was my boyfriend. So he tells me the story of how she jumps in the back seat with this guy, and he said he didn't really watch except through the mirror. But he heard her say when he said, "Hey, I thought you had another boyfriend." She says, "Oh, no, no. I know somebody, but if I told him if it was noon out and I told him it was midnight, he'd believe me." Yeah. So when I heard that, I had to say, "Kathy, it's time for us to separate." Now, what happened was she didn't take that easy. And about a week or two later, she, by the way, I gave her my ring, my graduation ring. It was platinum, had a ruby in it. And I did give it to her because she wanted to get married. So I don't have a wedding ring, but here, you can have this. So a week later, I wanted my ring back. She said she didn't know where it was. Then I saw her I said, "Okay, we're done. I'll get it sometime later." The next week, I'm coming in after work on the railroad. I have 3 sets of china. I just didn't do dishes. I waited till until they were all dirty. But she was doing them all by hand. When I walked in, I said, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here." She says, "Yeah, but I want to get back to you. I love you." I said, "Nah, I don't think so." She says, "But you must get back to me. I'm dying." "You're dying?" "Yes, I have leukemia." I'm thinking, leukemia? That's not very positive. She says, "It's terminal and I don't have very much time. Even my dad doesn't know what to do." I said, "Oh my God." I brought her back in for about another month. I couldn't keep her anymore. I just couldn't. So I wanted my ring back. She wouldn't give it to me. So I drove to her house after work one day. And I got in there, knocked on the door. Her mother answers, and I said, "Mrs. Can I come in for a minute?" So we're sitting on the couch, and I said, "I love your daughter, but I can't be with her anymore. I gotta let her go, and I don't even care if she has leukemia. I mean, I care, but I." And her mother flips out and says, "Leukemia? What are you talking about?" There you go, buddy. This guy needs another one. He's my boy. So her mother's on the couch screaming, "Leukemia." Kathy walks in. "Here's leukemia." Starts screaming, "What am I doing there?" And then I said, "Well, I just want my ring." She says, "I don't have it." So her mother says, "Oh, she's got it in her room." She says, "Go get it." So I went in there. I dumped her little box upside down. There was my ring. I'm getting it. And she says, "Now get out of here." So I'm going out the door. And who, lo and behold's out there sitting on my Triumph Spitfire, my sleek little 1969 Triumph Spitfire, her other boyfriend. And she's telling her boyfriend to beat me up. And I said, "Hold on there, partner. I'll bypass arm wrestling for you. But let me tell you something. Remember those tickets that I found out that you had? You couldn't go to that Mata Hoople and Queen? It was a great concert, by the way. And you might want to ask your little girlfriend there about that one." And she's screaming still, "Get him, get him." And he looks at me, he looks at her, got off my car and went over in his car, got in. So that was pretty much the story with a compulsive liar and how everyone should have one earlier in life than not. Questions and answers. guess we can put off to another time because it's 114 out here, and my phone's about ready to go overload again. So until we see each other again, it'll be another true story. And give me a thumbs up or down on this. Be most appreciated. Until we see each other again, be well. God victory.